welcome to another episode of our award-winning podcast, Smart People Travel Wise, a platform where we discuss all things about travel. It's another Tuesday, hashtag Travel Tuesday, and we have a great guest who we will all appreciate because she's from Europe. my niche, by the way, as a travel advisor. But before we introduce our guest, I like to share with everybody, if you are watching this live, please hashtag live. And if you are watching on replay, hashtag replay. Make sure you tell us where you're coming from or where you're listening from, and we can acknowledge all of you. Don't forget to watch us on Facebook and YouTube, or you could catch us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Fire, and iHeartRadio, or download the PHLV radio app available on all iOS and Android devices. Well, I'm coming to you from my hometown of Woodside, Queens. There needs to be no introduction on that because everyone knows by now that I'm from the Big Apple. And my guest today was born and raised in my favorite country, European country, Italy. She grew up in Italy and spent a lot of some time in the Philippines, then back to Italy, and then now she's currently residing in good old London, foggy town. That's a song for those I don't want to say old people. That's a George Gershwin song, Foggy London Town by George Gershwin. But she currently lives in London and has had a passion for travel since her tender age. How did she get into travel? Well, it all started with school trips. I believe school trips in Italy are way different from what it's like here in America. I'm sure she probably had gelato for lunch and pizza. But her passion for travel started with school trips, then domestic trips, and then she's traveled internationally, which led her to become a travel vlogger. You could catch her vlogs on YouTube everywhere. And also she freelances as a journalist for Eagle Broadcasting and has done some radio work where she touches upon not only travel, but lifestyle and family-oriented pieces. Please smash those heart buttons and let's welcome Erica Celestino. Hi, Erica. Or I should say, ciao, come stai?
Ciao Tennie, sto bene, grazie. E tu?
Bene, molto. What's hot? Caliente? No, that's Spanish.
Caldo. That's Spanish, but hot is caldo.
Yes.
Molto caldo. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited, especially for that awesome introduction, because I can tell you, like, from the school trips here in Italy, if you were like born and raised in Italy, you would love those school trips.
And I just recently, or I should say, I've only been a travel advisor for a couple of months. And one of the things that I want to do as a travel advisor are group trips. And Italy is my niche because I've been to Italy 3 times. I love the country. I studied Italian for about 7 years. I studied abroad in Florence. And when I heard that I can do group trips, I was just like, oh my God, it's like a school trip, but for adults. So, you can share with me, Erica, because you're going to help me as a travel advisor. How were your school trips like in Italy? And what city were you born and raised in, first of all?
Okay, so I was born and raised in born in Sesto San Giovanni, which is a small town near Milan. But I was raised in Milan. And when it comes to school trips, I can tell you, I will never forget them. Up until now, I still enjoy seeing my pictures from way back then because we start at a young age, like in elementary school. So maybe after year two or three, if I'm not mistaken. The school trips that are long, they call them scuola natura, which is, those trips that are 5 day long or 4 day long, and they take us to other places in the country. At least it's not like, abroad. It's still in Italy. So for these sort of trips, we have 5 days where we check out the places, the culture, the different activities, and the food, especially. And they give us like more activities for kids because, of course, we're still young back then. So it's not like we could have our, free time where we would roam around the city on our own. So that's how it started. And the fun thing is that every year in my school, that's what happened. But I think most of the school did that. They allowed us to go for 5 days to a city or another place around the area. So where we went was near the lake of Garda or Lago di Garda. I remember those two small towns, which were Malcesine and no, actually, I don't remember the other one. Sorry, but I just remember Malcesine because that's like the first one ever. So I guess it's like something that will help you gain confidence first because you're going to be away from your parents. It's going to be your first time traveling on your own, even though you're in a group with your classmates. I don't think like usually kids would travel on their own without their parents, right? So that's already a big step up. And then secondly, what I loved about those school trips is the food. Like you would try the food that are literally made from that town. So for example, in Malcesine, do you know, Tennie, we actually made olive oil out of like literally from we picked the olives and then we saw the process of it and then we brought back a bottle with the olive oil we sort of made. You know what I mean? So it's like very, very interesting and educational as well and fun.
Oh, wow. Tell me about olive oil. Well, because I don't know if you ever heard of Rachel Ray, and her trademark is EVOO, extra virgin olive oil, which is why I got into Italian cooking because I think she has Italian heritage. But tell us, yeah, can you educate us on? I know olive oil, going to olive oil tastings is a very popular excursion on Italy trips, and yeah, elaborate more. That's a fun school trip, and that's just a school trip.
Yeah, okay. That's just a school trip, I tell you. From what I remember, because I was very amazed with the process because the different like instruments or like the what they use to actually make olive oil were like big rocks. You know what I mean? So it's like this huge wheel of rock, and I was like, okay. And then it was like squashing all the olive oils. But the olive oil that we made was an extra virgin olive oil. Sorry, it was just like the normal one because I think for that one it had a different process which was more detailed as well. And ours took like about our stay there while waiting, picking like the different olives, and maybe we waited maybe 30 minutes or so just to see the olive oil squashed, and then the juice came like coming out, I think. And then they sort of like cleaned it. I don't know, I don't remember how, but they sort of like cleaned it or purified it, just to get the olive oil, like the oil itself, pretty much. But yes, it was sort of like a raw or first, I'm gonna say draft because I write a lot of olive oil.
Well, I'm wondering, have you even gone on a trip where you made gelato? Because that's probably one school.
Well, I wish, but we never went to those sort of trips. But what I can tell you is that after a long, hot day and visiting the place, our teachers would actually tell us to go and get some gelato.
Now, I wish I went to school in Italy because, in America, what is this? Okay, I'm trying to remember what my school trips are. All I could remember is just being on the school bus and then just asking my teacher, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" I don't even like. I don't have a vivid school trip memory. Other oh, I went to a baseball game in fourth grade. But your school trip sounds like trips that tour guides should take travelers. And I want to brush up a little bit more on Italy because you were born and raised in Milan. And I recently just came back. I went to Milan back in April. And Milan is, I would say, out of all the cities in Italy, it's kind of underrated. But it's a cosmopolitan city. There's a lot of Filipinos there. I don't know if you've been back in Milan.
Yes, there.
In a Jollibee by the Duomo. And I remember.
I know. It's like nearby. It's like 5 minute walk.
I know. And then it's like that here in New York. There's two Jollibees on the heart of Times Square. And then I remember my friend Kriel, who you also happen to know, he asked me at the Tennie, "Do you want to eat Jollibee?" I'm like, "I'm in Italy. I don't want fried chicken." Where's my panini? I want my prosciutto and my espresso. I don't want chicken joy.
That is correct. I mean, you go to Italy for the food as well. So you know what I mean. It's not like the first thing you think would be Filipino food because you're in Italy. But yes, actually, you're totally right when it comes to thinking that Milan is underrated because first of all, when you think of going to Italy, you would go southern Italy just because Rome is there, the eternal city, right? There's Naples. There's a lot of places to go to when it's summer. But when it comes to Milan, the first thing I think of is that it's a hub. I mean, that's the center of the northern part of Italy, which makes it easy for you to travel around that area if you just land in Milan first, because that's the center. And from there, you can go anywhere like to Venice, to Verona, to Bologna, to Firenze, or, you know, Torino, anywhere there, like in the northern part of Italy. And Milan, even though it's relatively small, it's very, it's full of things that you could see, such as museums, landmarks, and you can do a lot of things too.
What are your favorite what are your favorite places that you enjoy going to when you lived in Italy? Because in here in New York, I love Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, I love walking it. I love driving through it. It just at night, especially, it's one of those sites where I'm mesmerized by. I was like, oh wow, I can't believe this is right by. I'm next door to it. Well, not actually next door, but I can't believe I live here when I see the Brooklyn Bridge. What is maybe one or two sites that you mesmerize on in Italy, in Milan?
Okay, if you're asking me Milan specifically, I would tell you Castello Sforzesco or Sforzesco Castle, and behind it there's Parco Sempione or Sempione Park, because the castle itself, it's actually I mean, like there's different museums inside which you can visit. And also because I love museums, that's why it's like one of my favorites. And I love history and architecture, so seeing the castle itself, it's just very, very like nice to see because I've studied that, you know, in Italian history. And I love Parco Sempione because that's where we usually have picnics with friends or just like roam around just to have a nice walk or even play during summer and spring. It's like a nice place to relax and chill and just read a book. Or you can go around biking, cycling, running. You can do a lot of stuff there. It's a park.
Aside from Milan, name some places that you've been in the country and probably well, we could go all day probably naming every beautiful spot in Italy. I know I can, even though I haven't been to like on my bucket list, Erica, is to go to Puglia because of the Truly houses and also Sicily because I was just discussing this with one of the pizzeria owners near my house. He's from Sicily, and I was telling him, my mom was actually saying like, if it's one place that I want to go to before I die is Sicily, and I added it's because my mom and I love pistachios.
Oh, I love pistachio too. And
That's my favorite gelato, actually.
I agree. Like when it comes, okay, fair enough. I haven't been to Puglia nor Sicily yet. And that's like one of the things that I sort of, like think about because I took for granted the fact that I was born and raised in Italy. And, I never thought of moving out of the country up until now. And now I'm like, oh, I should visit all the different places that I haven't seen yet in person. But if you ask me like one of the awesome places that will forever stay in my heart, then it would be Rome. I don't know specific landmark or place in Rome, but I just love the city. And then if you ask me, another city would be Florence. I love Florence. And one of the actually two landmarks that I love in Florence or places. The first one would be the Ponte Vecchio, the old bridge, because it's not even a bridge. You know that. It's like houses there. And then another one would be, oh, not in Florence, sorry. I'm going to mention Verona. I love Verona. And of course, for the ones that read Romeo and Juliet, so that's the actual city where they met. And that's why I love it.
I know that's I had another guest and he spoke about Verona and for the same reasons, Romeo and Juliet, and also the amphitheater there as well. But we're gonna segue from the place where you're born to the place where you reside now, which is the UK, London, a very also a popular tourist destination. London was actually the first city I've been to outside the Philippines. And there's similarities. Yeah, there's similarities of London to New York, being that it's very busy, bright lights, big city. But I think, the difference obviously is, the way people speak English there.
Yeah, that's the first thing you would notice.
But and London is also a niche that I'm gonna be currently working on too, because I've been to London 3 times as well. What do you love about you've lived in London for nearly 4 years now? What do you love about the city?
I love everything. And I come from Italy, I tell you. I love everything about London because even though I've been here for about almost 4 years, and prior to living here and moving here in the UK, I actually visited London 3 times, right? I tell you, I don't know, but the city is so entertaining and there's always something new to do. Even though, it's big, the city is big enough. It's just, even though you live here, you have new things to do every single time. And what I love about here is that, first of all, museums are free. And I love museums. So I love seeing art, and checking out the different piece of work that artists share in their exhibitions. What I love is their landmarks. But I gotta mention this, and I'm totally being a kid right now. One of the main reasons why I love London is because of Harry Potter.
There's nothing wrong with that, even though I'm not really big on Harry Potter, but that's okay because you're not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of adults that love, they go to Disney World to ride the Harry Potter ride, or they read the books and they go to London and they want to see where this. I mean, I've never read any of the books, but you know what I mean.
I grew up with Harry Potter.
Places. So because of Harry Potter. I mean, I probably loved London, probably different from you. It's more of because I'm a music teacher by degree and 18 years of teaching music. I love the Beatles. I love British rock. Um, that's one of Dave. I love David Bowie. And Depeche Mode. Who else are the like those hardcore? But yeah, obviously Beatles is the most popular rock group to come out of the UK, and I still want my Abbey Road picture. I've been to Abbey Road.
Next time around when you visit here, let's go.
And Liverpool is also on my bucket list. I do want to go where, well, where the Beatles are from. I know they have tours up there in Liverpool. I believe it's like a 2-hour train ride north from London. And I want to also on outside London. Where have you been? Everywhere, Erica. Where have you been around the UK? Aside from
Okay, around the UK, I've been in Bournemouth because that's where we firstly moved, in Lymington, which is a small town in between Bournemouth and Southampton. That's in the south coast of England. So it's in the Jurassic coast when it comes to Bournemouth, the Dorset, in Dorset. And then where I lived was in New Forest. So it was in the countryside, it was very chill. It was very nice to run around and hike as well. Also, besides there, we went, actually, I say we because I always go with my family. We went to Oxford for the same purpose of checking out Harry Potter locations. But of course, because Oxford is one of the nicest places here in the UK. We also checked Manchester because is it the first or the second capital, like city, metropolitan city that's like the second biggest in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, or the first, because it's between Manchester and London. And then we went to Birmingham also. And recently, actually, well, not really recently, maybe last December, we went to Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh in Scotland.
Lucky you. I mean,
and when you Oh yes, sorry, because when you were mentioning the accent between like English in New York and here in England, when you go up north, they have a thicker accent. So it's actually nice because it's still English, but with different accents.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit. I don't want to. No, I'm not going to imitate it. I might offend people, but no, It's kind of like also a Brooklyn at you when you could tell who's from Brooklyn here. They have the thick accent. Forget about it. I know Scottish and British accents are different. Who's the famous tennis player Andy Murray. He's from Scotland. But it's so amazing how you've only lived in the UK for 4 years and you've pretty much seen a lot of all of, not probably have you seen all of London, but you've also seen most the beautiful English countryside, which I haven't done yet, but I did go to Oxford, and not for Harry Potter reasons, because dad is when I mentioned our first family trip together outside the Philippines, we went to London, and one of the places we went to on tour was Oxford, because my dad were just kind of we're nerds, education nerds. We all got accepted to Ivy League schools. And if you don't know, Oxford University is one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And it's kind of like the Harvard of the UK. And that was one of the reasons why my dad inserted a trip to Oxford so he could fulfill his dream, since he, I'm pretty sure he always said to me that I would be a Fulbright scholar and go to Oxford, kind of like Chelsea Clinton. And I've also been, and I actually want to go to Cambridge too. And if you guys
Same.
want to read, because Cambridge Dictionary.
That's true. I mean, like I tell you, every city here has its own unique beauty. I mean, I just mentioned some of the cities that we visited because to be fair, there's a bunch, but I don't really remember some right now. But we went to wait because you know how there's like four devolved nations, right? So there's England. I mentioned some of the cities that we visited. There's Scotland, so Edinburgh. There's Wales. We actually went to Newport as well. And then we're missing Northern Ireland. We haven't been there yet. So hopefully soon we can actually visit.
Wait for me, because I do want to go to Northern Ireland. I think it's where they filmed Game of Thrones.
Yes. Okay, I love it.
Tourist site where they filmed. I think it's like those black stones. I forgot what it's called, but it's in Northern Ireland, and we could probably team up. We could vlog together, because
Yes, we can do it together.
I got into vlogging because that's where I want to start vlogging. Everybody tells me I need to start vlogging because of I'm a avid traveler, and also the way when I do my Instagram stories, people start cracking up. And I'll share you this moment when I got stuck in Malpensa. So I had to stay at the Sheraton because I forgot I had to get tested for COVID and I missed my flight. So I stayed at the Sheraton, and I decided, you know what? Nobody's really here. I'm going to go use the pool. And then they asked me, oh, do you have a swim cap? And I was like, swim cap? So apparently by Italian law, if you want to use the pool, you're required to wear a swim cap. Now, I've never put on a swim cap. And so while I was putting it on, it just kept flying all over the place. And then when people saw my stories on Instagram, they saw how my swim cap was lopsided because you could still see the hair hanging down. So, and I joked with one of my ates and said, like, I think it's easier to put a condom than to put a swim cap in your head.
No, but you know what? That's a skill. It's actually hard, especially if you have long hair. Like, it's hard to put all the hair inside.
Yeah. So take note. Bring a swim cap when you go to Italy and use the pool. I don't know if that beaches count, but well, through pictures.
Yeah, with swimming pools, unless they're like private ones, it's like you cannot wear them. But if it's like a public, then yes.
Yes. Now we're going to go into vlogging because that's where your area of specialty is. I mean, you shared your cool school trips. I mean, you've been only living in UK for 4 years, and you pretty much covered places that some people probably never been to. And I know I've watched some of your vlogs. You've done. You've gone to Cuomo in Italy, and then you've done some of the English countryside. So tell me more, Erica, because you loved your school trips. You basically loved you have an appreciation for all the cities that you've or places that you lived in. How did you get to travel vlogging?
So, okay, the first time I ever thought of vlogging was during this big event, which was the 50th in the West. So mainly my travels are faith-based travel because I usually go to big occasions. I'm a member of the Church of Christ, so I go to these big events, milestones of the church, and one of these events was the 50th in the West, and that meant for me to travel and go from the Philippines, because back then my location was in the Philippines. I traveled to Hawaii and California. I didn't think of like properly vlogging, but mainly like filming, like just for remembrance. There you go. Because fair enough, back then in 2018, I didn't have any editing skills. I didn't know what to do and stuff. So during the pandemic, that's when I started like watching and rewatching videos that I took whilst traveling in different countries. And I was like, why do I have so many videos and pictures? Like, might as well, start vlogging it. So what I did, because my sister Arabelle, she's studying in film and television. She learned how to edit and use the software. I was like, can you like teach me a little bit? And then that's when I started learning how to edit videos. And because of how much I missed traveling, because, during the pandemic, we were all in lockdown, I started editing backlog, videos. And that's when I started editing them and posting them on my YouTube channel. And from there, when we were able to travel again because the restrictions were eased and there were like still travel rules for COVID-19, we would still comply to them and travel around different countries. And that's when I started vlogging, even like here in the UK. But it was just fun because knowing how to edit inspired me even more to push myself and try and vlog. Because if you've noticed, my first videos would be like, yes, I'm talking to the camera, but I'm not really in front of the camera. I'm just like showing what we're doing. But then because I'm part of the media, as a freelance journalist, and I actually like share some of my adventures too. I started gaining more confidence and showing myself on camera and showing them around wherever I'd go.
Maybe we should throw in a clip or two of some of your vlogs, and we'll start with, because you mentioned it's a lot of your vlogs are faith-based. So I know you went to Hawaii, and Hawaii plays a huge part in the religion that you belong to, because that was one of the places where the Church of Christ began in the West. And mention about Hawaii, because I know you've been to your vlogs, you've been to places in the United States, and I want you to rank them between Hawaii, Washington, D.C., Disneyland, New York. You could say New York is the best that you've been to. Out of the where you vlogged, in America, let's say, which one kind of
I'm thinking it's hard because I always say this. I left part of my heart in California because when I was a kid, we actually tried to move there and lived there for a couple of months, and then we went back to Italy. But I guess I love California because I had friends there since I was a kid and I sort of grew up there. But if I were to pick a proper location, I'm torn between two cities. And that's either New York, because New York is so beautiful, like to visit. There's like a lot of things you can do, and you can travel solo, because that's what I did when I traveled to New York. And also San Diego, because in NorCal, I mean, I went to San Francisco. It's always cold. Even though it's summer, it's actually cold. But in San Diego, you can feel the summer. And as they tell me, it's not that cold when it's winter time. So I've never visited during winter, but it would be nice because I can stand the cold, but at the same time, I'd rather be in a, hot place.
Well, yeah, they say San Diego, there's 360 days of sunshine. I would say that's probably one of my favorite parts of California, because it's not overcrowded. It's quaint. And of course, I'm going to be biased. I know New York is like one of the most fascinating cities in the world, and I live in the most fascinating city in the world. But you're right about New York. New York is actually a place where it's actually more interesting when you come here by yourself. That's kind of like the best part of traveling too, is your solo adventures. And also as a vlogger too, it's you get to share where you're going, what fascinates you, getting lost in translation.
You know, in New York, I actually got lost. And one memorable thing that I will never ever forget is that I went there in 2018, like November, and it was Thanksgiving Day, right? You know what I did? Instead of going and checking the parade, the Macy's parade, I went to visit the Statue of Liberty. And apparently that day was the coldest of all, because I saw some articles, right, saying that it was the coldest Thanksgiving in about like a century or something. Like it was like a long time. And I was like, why did I decide to go on this day when I'm freezing and we're in an island and it's so windy? It feels like they're slapping my face because of the cold, but I really enjoyed it. I went on my own. I actually in New York, most of the time I would just explore the city on my own by foot, because
That's
with
the best part of going there. And also Milan too. I did a lot of in Milan by foot, and there's a lot of similarities between Milan and New York when it comes from, like, it's definitely a city, a walking city.
yes,
Both
definitely.
um and yeah, like just like Milan, you don't need a car when you live or travel to New York. There's you could explore by foot, you could take the subways, even grab a cab, or Uber. You could even see everything in just one Uber drive. That's the beauty of New York.
That's true.
Let's go back to Europe now. And there's so many beautiful places in Europe. As a travel vlogger, I'm sure there's so many. Great European cities that have different characteristics, different beautiful views, cultures. So as a vlogger, maybe share with us your I would say top three destinations that you really appreciated, and whether you've vlogged about it or want to vlog about it. Yes, name some. Yeah, three. We'll limit it to three.
Okay, that is very hard, but I'm gonna base this on the latest trips I had. So I would rank number one, Prague. It's so lovely there. It's like a small city, I think, just because the city center is just there. It's small, but it's so beautiful with its architecture. And also, you can go around there by foot, and it's easy to commute with public transportation. Also, it's very cheap compared to other European countries. And Spider-Man Away from Home was filmed there. Just to let you know, but
Harry Potter, now Spider-Man. Okay.
no, but Czech Republic is a very nice country, especially like we tried the food too. It's nice. I mean, I thought that, well, we decided, me and my sisters decided to save up a little bit more because of like expenses when it comes to COVID-19. But the thing is that when you travel and go to different cities, like Prague, for example, what you have to think of, like what we thought is, we fell in love with it because it's just simple and yet beautiful. It's one of those cities where you can just roam around.
I agree.
And it feels like you're just like amazed and mesmerized by everything, even though you're not doing anything really. You're just like eating. I don't know, I don't remember the food street we actually ate, but it was a dessert. we were just walking around while eating that, and it was very, very nice. And also, even though it's like cold, because we went there in winter, we went there in February, you don't feel that it's that cold. Maybe because we were walking, but then I guess it's not one of those coldest countries in Europe. Second one, I'm sorry, I talk a lot. The second
It's about
place,
travel.
the second place.
And I love Prague too. And my favorite place in Prague, two of my favorite places in Prague are staring at the Charles Bridge and the astronomical clock, the cuckoo clock. So yeah, I was only in Prague for a day and a half, but that is one city I want to go back to because it's also
See, I mean, you went there for a day and a half, right? We went there for like about 2 days and a half, and you could actually visit a lot already, like almost the whole entire city, and that's what I love about European cities, because mainly you can visit them in a couple of days, if not one, and and it's actually cheaper compared to going around maybe US, because you need cars most of the time and places are far from each other. Also, okay, that's first place, Prague in Czech
one more
Republic.
and then one more city.
Okay, one more city. Actually, I'm contemplating, but let's go with I guess Vienna. Vienna in Austria. I love Vienna. It's a very big city. I actually visited a friend there because she was part of a musical. She was casted in a musical, and I wanted to watch her show, but I fell in love with the city because even though it was winter, I mean, they told me to visit again when it would be summer or like spring because it's full of colors. But Vienna, you have a lot of landmarks, and you can also, walk from one place to another, but then it would be easier for you to travel and go to one landmark to another by the tram, right?
Yes.
And also it was cheaper because it's euro. Like for me, it was easier to like pay because I still have euros anyways. I know I'm still gonna go back to Italy and things, so I still have cash. And it was nice because I was trying to practice my German, but I sort of failed into doing that. So I kept my English there.
And I had mentioned this before. I probably mentioned this in previous podcast episode that I did take one semester of German, and the only word that I remember other than what I learned in Sound of Music is the number 6, which is sext. Go figure why I remember that, because it's very similar to another English word that doesn't mean number 6, but
yeah.
But it's a great, I love Vienna. That was part of when I traveled there with my family. We went to Prague, Vienna, Budapest, and I love that part of Europe. And I think I would love to go back there, especially during the holidays, during the winter time, especially to check out the market, the winter markets there, and also to do a river cruise too. So we're winding down. So what's next for Everywhere-ica? Where are you off to next? In Europe, US?
Okay. I'm excited to share with you that the next stop will be Denmark. We'll be going to Copenhagen. I'm going with my sister. And afterwards, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to go to Belgium and Brussels. So I'm looking forward to those 2 cities. And of course, I'll be vlogging them. Whether it's going to be me that you're going to see or my sisters, you will see vlogs.
I want to see you eating a Danish and eating Belgian waffles or fries.
I'll take that and I'll note that down so that I will show you. I try them.
And then I think, what is it Copenhagen that's known for? That's from, is it, Hans Christian Andersen, the fairy tales too. And
Yes,
the mermaid, that's what
The Little Mermaid. Yes.
Denmark is known for. Now, everyone, if you want to know more about Erica and her travel vlogs, just check out her YouTube channel, Everywhereica, and she will post her blogs, I should say, on her next adventure. And you could watch a lot of her adventures, whether her faith-based travels and also some of her travels that she's gone across the English countryside, Italy, wherever, everywhere she's been. Check her out on YouTube, Everywhereica. Thank you, Erica. It was a pleasure talking to you. We will probably do another episode, maybe about who knows what, or we could probably team up and do a vlog together. How about that?
Wait for that, Tennie. Please do visit Europe again so that we'll have fun checking out the different cities. So first stop would be Northern Ireland.
Oh, yes. Or we could just go back to Italy and you could take me on a one-on-one school trip and have gelato or
That's
olive oil. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you so much, Ate Tennie.
And thank you to our viewers, because without your help, this would be impossible. And as travel, the world of travel is on the rise again, make sure everyone is traveling safely, and probably start vlogging like Erica or myself. Smart People Travel Wise airs every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific. I'm Tennie Sumague. Catch you all next time. Take care.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV.